Hey guys, welcome to the next video in the Dortmund Let's Play on FM13, and this is how the table looks then as we have moved into the new decade of 2040. Getting very close to that record, of course, where, of course, I got to 2045 with Liverpool, even though that was with the one team. I know I probably won't be doing that again. But, as I say, this is how the league looks. Now, I've always sort of thought about this Dortmund team so far. So I've only been here for what, I don't know, a year or something. But I've looked at this Dortmund team and thought it's like Liverpool team. It just needs a little extra kick. It needs a little push. There's a lot of players there who are really good, and they just need something else. They just need an extra kick, and obviously the CPU can't do that because the CPU is thick as all hell. Seriously, I mean, I don't understand this game sometimes. It really, I almost get the sense sometimes that it's being deliberately crap on purpose. Sometimes, I mean, obviously there's no difficulty setting either. That'd be an interesting thought. Imagine a difficulty setting for FM. That'd be really weird. But as I say, let's get into the league anyway, because I'm going to start rambling if I go on that. We're 5 points clear of Werder Bremen. Now, it's interesting because Bremen really have not come from any. I mean, if we look at the history, obviously, the holders at the moment are Bayern, and I think I may have gone over this. I'll probably go over everything now as new. So if I do repeat myself, then I'm sorry. It's been a while since I've done a video, and I do apologise for the lack of videos lately. It's I've been taking a little break from it. I didn't officially, obviously. If I do take a long, elongated break, I will obviously tell you that's probably going to be the end of the summer. But if I can't constantly make videos and I constantly play the game, then I'm just gonna get burnt out, So, and then there won't be any videos at all, and that'd be terrible. But as I say, Werder Bremen they came second in 2036 and 27, but apart from that, that's it. They've not really come from anywhere, so I'm quite surprised by these. Then come Bayern, who have struggled. And then obviously Dortmund's great rivals Schalke, or great rivals, apparently they are rivals, who obviously have that game in hand, so they can go ahead of Bayern if they win it. And then we have all the other teams. Now, obviously I'm not absolutely familiar completely with German football, obviously I'm learning all the time, but I don't know how Rostock, for example, they appear to be the sort of relegation fodder, if you will, of the Bundesliga. So I don't know whether they are any good in real life. Obviously, I'm fully aware of all these teams, but there's the odd team I might not be aware of. Now, the reason we're top, obviously, it's a combination of, if you look, 2 losses, which isn't too bad. Compared to everyone else, that's actually very, very good. But the main reason I don't think we've lost too many times is because of, look at that, 57, plus 57, goal difference of 35, way ahead of Werder Bremen there and, and the rest. And you'll see why we've scored so many goals, and you'll probably, you can probably think already if you've already watched the last 2 videos, and you probably know 1 or 2 players. But I've brought in some more, so we'll go over them now. I'm going to go over a few players that we've gotten rid of first. Mostly it's all players. I just want to point out all the players upwards from Van Kampenhout here were all already destined to go. They were already just gone were going when I arrived. There's nothing I could do. And even, I love this, I could not do anything about these players. They were already transfer listed. I had nothing to do with their transfers, and also, sorry, their deals, I mean. But yet, the fans still blame me for this guy, for Van Kampenhout going. They actually said they got disappointed because he's gone. What the fuck did I have to do with anything with that? It's, again, stupid. Nothing. I've banged on. It's 2 things. 3 things I've been pissed off about this game. For me, it's game ruining. The match engine's shite. There's no relativity. No one I get the feeling no one is familiar with their surroundings, or aware of their surroundings. No, if you know what I mean, I don't know, what's the best way of saying it? You know what I mean? Familiar with the surroundings, they actually are aware of what's going on and not just taking everything, packaged. I don't know, I can't express it. I don't know, there's not a really good way of saying it, but I'm hoping that you'll understand. And of course, the other one as well is the player attitude, but I'm not going to get into that. Then a load of other players who I've bought in and sent out on loan. Now, the other player that has gone I've sold is this guy Danny Vilches, who I think I just received an offer for. As you can see there, we lost money on him, but um, I don't know. I didn't think he was very good, so I just got rid of him. I think I can't quite remember. But these are the players I've brought in. So obviously I've spent 33 million. I've basically spent the transfer budget on a lot of young players. I just want to point out, not too many old. And when I mean young, I mean below the age of 21, for example. But here are the first few. So we've got from Cork City, Mark Rocket. He's only 17, 5-star potential. Also, if you want to actually, before we get on to any more, obviously he's in the Dortmund second team at the moment, the under 23s. I just want to also, before I show you anything else, I'll show you my staff. I've kept the German physio, but the rest are all my staff. I've got Johnny Woods here, who's a regen, obviously. I think basically they're all going to be regens there or thereabout nowadays. And the reason I chose him, and I said this in a comment on one of the last videos, it was either the first or the second part. One thing a lot of people often overlook, I'm trying to figure out where it is the language barrier on this. There is. And what I decided to do was go for a manager who could speak English and German, because I can't speak German yet, because I'm learning. Obviously I know I can't in real life either, but on the game obviously I can't speak German yet, so obviously a assistant manager who could is very helpful. Not to mention you can also speak Arabic and basic Spanish, which is also very good. And a lot of people overlook that. I mean, he's got good stats as well. Okay, he's not going to set the world on fire, but for an assistant manager I'm not going to complain. He's pretty decent, and his wages aren't big either. We've also brought in a French head of youth development. I'm not really too bothered about his language speaking. Obviously, he can speak German, that's a bonus. But his judging player ability and potential is both 20, so I just go with that. I'm working with youngsters is okay, and it's okay. It doesn't really need anything else. My chief scout is a guy called Alex Rodman, who is real. In fact, he currently plays for, in real life, Aldershot, I think, although that really could be out of date by now. Where's he been? Is he scouted? He's scouted for Port Vale and Nottingham Forest, but he's actually okay, and he's bought me a fair few of these players. So we've got Mark Rocket here, who's a centre midfielder. We've got Alan Dalglish from Celtic, believe it or not, and he has the reddest of red hair. 4.5 star. If he can be anything like his namesake, or even half of what his namesake was, then I'm sure we'll be very successful. Another Scot here, we've got Billy Wilson. Now you're looking at us and thinking, are you really bringing in non-Germanic players? Are you really doing what the foreign managers do? When they come to England, that's bringing, like we had Rafa bringing over all the Spanish players, we had Wenger bringing in all the French, so did Gerard Houllier. No, it's just coincidental. These are the players that I know because I've scouted them before and I know them. We've got Billy Wilson, who's 3.5 star. I don't know, I just had a good feeling about this guy. And we've also got, I don't know, I just think for cheap, I can only go for cheap players. We didn't exactly, 30 million is not a low amount by any stretch of the imagination, but when the squad was as small as it was, I had to take it into consideration and also build up the youth team, because the squad wasn't exactly young. We've also got here Lucio Ferraris, I think, or Ferraris, I'm not sure how you say that, but he's 4-star potential, looks good as an AMC. This player face kind of freaks me out a bit. That face is a very common face, but the eyes, I don't know, it's like Mesut Ozil eyes or something. Very, very strange. Then we've got on loan from Galatasaray another American here, John Miola, 2 stars. Basically, he brought him primarily as a winger since we needed a winger or two. Then we've got the absolutely brilliantly named Tommaso Tamazzi. I can't believe that's a name. He's a defender. He can play at right back or centre back. I like the look of him. Think he might be decent. He's only 23 as well. Then we've got this guy who I will bring you back to shortly. Simon Mills from Wales. I paid £600,000 for him from, where was he? Swansea. And 2-star potential. I honestly have no idea why I was brought to this guy. But if the 1.8 million value now means anything to you, considering I signed him for 600k, I'll think you may know what happened to him. I honestly, okay, look, I'll say something. He's an absolute beast. All right, he's a beast. I don't know why I was brought to him, but I think my scout may have even found him for me. I don't know, but I found him and just strangely attracted to him there. I don't know what it was. It was weird. We've got Ralph Butker next up. He's a German, so obviously we brought some more Germans in since Dortmund like to do that, and 4-star potential. And then we've got another English player. But I knew this guy was. The thing is, though, I knew this guy was quite good. And hey, look, he's already complaining for first team bloody football. Oh, I'm getting real tired of your shit. But he's good. He's a good little player. I've seen him for Man City, and I thought I'd buy him for £6 million. Thought we need another striker to go alongside Krumpen. Then we also brought another. Well, turns out he's English now, but he will, in fact, in the future move to South Africa, or move to a South African nationality. Malatsi Ngemo. Remember him at Arsenal? To be honest, he was actually shite. I only brought him in for a little bit of backup because we needed another left midfielder, and he was on the cheap. And I knew he's not absolutely god awful, but he's average. Okay, he's not the greatest player in the world, but he'll do a job. I'm hoping. Then we've got one I'm really excited about here, 4-star potential, Cameron Haidari. Haidari, I think his name is. German. I think he's also like, where is he from? He's Iranian as well, even though he's born in Germany, so obviously he has Iranian ancestry. Looking forward to him. Then we have, of course, you can see this one coming, can't you? 5-star potential, Jurgen Fox. Alright, yeah, I'm going to say it's Fush or Fush. That can't be Fox, surely. Actually, then again, I think that is quite a common surname to take the piss out of Fox or Fuchs. I don't know. Call him wherever you want. He's not going to be in the first team for a while. He's only 15. Then we've got Michelangelo Bonacina, 17 years old, centre back, 2.5 star. Thought he was a little bit better than that. We also have Heiko Stark, 15 years old, 5-star potential, and lastly, Roderick Pedroso, 4.5-star potential from Portugal, so I'm looking forward to them. So obviously I'm trying to build up a young core that will come in a few years, and hopefully by the time the current crop of players we've got grow a bit older, they will be able to move in and just simply take the place, and will be an easily smooth transition. But enough of that, let's see how we've got to first place then in the league. So obviously we started with the friendlies, and also bear in mind there was of course the big winter break. There's that month from just before Christmas to sort of the middle of January, of course, every season has one in Germany. Then we have this. Now this is something I really like. This is something I would support in England. There's the German Cup. Now if you aren't familiar with the German Cup, basically what happens is in the first round, all the smaller teams who've managed to qualify for the first round get like an unseeded draw but play at home. I think this is how it works. They play at home, and they can be drawn against the big guns from the Bundesliga. So and so basically what happens is we are always not always, but there's a big chance that you're going to end up playing some minnow from like the 4th division or outside of the German Football League or whatever. And this was the case here as we played Sandhausen, who are in the German 3rd division, and we won 4-2. Now I'd seen players like Krumpen, Holmgard, Yusufi, all these players, do quite well, but there was one player who started to stand out during pre-season, and that was Simon Mills here. As you can see, he scored 2 past Espanyol. Scored off the bench against Guimares, or whatever they're called. Where else? But he looked decent, all right. He looked okay, but then he just went to town on Sandhausen here. He scored a hat trick on his debut. Now I realise that it's not the most difficult of opposition. I'm not gonna run around saying, oh my god, this is this is the greatest player ever, but let's be honest, he scored a hat trick on his debut. Now I realise obviously conceding 2 goals to a 3rd division team was not that great, but bear in mind we are playing some youngsters here. If you look at the 2 centre backs in particular, there's Vitamir, that's correct, Zovko and George Schuster, who are both under the age of 20. Zovko, in fact, I think is something like 17 or 18, but he is has been a first team regular since I arrived. So but obviously if you look, I'm playing a lot of youngsters here. Obviously there's Ferraris and so on, but there's Simon Mills popping up the back post 8 minutes into his debut, full competitive debut, bags himself a goal, and if the game wants to continue or freeze, there we go. Also going to be playing. Also, if you look at the Markowski, the goalkeeper there, he is also like 18 or something. So yeah, a lot of these players have got a long way to go, but it was an opportunity for me, as I always like to do, is to just totally take the piss and play a younger team as possible. Because, you know, I mean, it gets like, you know, if you can play a team that is as young as you can get it, and they do well, you know, not only is it a good experience for them, but I know it sounds ridiculous, but like you do occasionally bring in them players like Zovko and Schuster, who can then just walk straight into the first team and have no problem. And there's your centre back problem sorted for the next 10 to 15 years. You know, so it's really easy if it works. I mean, it very, very, very rarely does, but you know, on the off chance it does, you sort of you know you don't have to worry. Obviously, you still got a bit of progression to do, but you know, there's another player you can count on. And, you know, as I say, I'm not going to run around and say these are the best players ever, as I said with Simon Mills. But you've got to be excited, and this is why I hate it when, you know, people have a go at me for saying, oh, I really like the look of this player, you know, who plays for Liverpool or something. There's Simon Mills' hat-trick, by the way, inside half an hour. Unbelievable debut. Yeah, but it's why it pisses me off when people say, people have a go at me for saying, like, oh, I like the look of Suso or Jordan Ibe. It's like, come on, do you really not expect anyone to not get excited about a youngster in their team? Really? You know, because we haven't got exactly a whole lot to shout about when you look at the first team at the moment. I'm not going to talk about Suarez as nothing's official yet. There's a million conflicting reports. Apparently all sorts of things have been lost in translation, so I'm not going to talk about Luis Suarez for now until the thing is finished. You know, until he goes. And quite frankly, I would not begrudge him if he goes. I think he does owe Liverpool a season, and quite frankly, for him to come out and say no one supported them is a totally ridiculous, is a completely unacceptable. You know, he tarred Dalglish's reputation almost single-handedly. He made Dalglish look like an idiot. You know, when he backed him because he was racist and all this type of thing, and you know he has done also. He has ruined Liverpool's reputation for a long time, and I know the fans kind of do that themselves sometimes, but you know, he's made it even considerably worse. And a nice goal there by Schober. But so I do think Suarez does owe Liverpool at least another season. But honestly, if he does go, I really won't be surprised. I mean, he does bring it on himself, but he has been made an example of. I said I wouldn't talk about it, but I will. Yeah, he said he has been picked on by the media. Obviously, he doesn't help himself. I'm not going to fucking defend him and say, you know, of course. I mean, obviously he has been picked on by the media. But that's because he brings it on himself. You know, I'm saying he hasn't. But I think the one thing is, though, he's been made an example of. Now, naturally, he's not going to like that. You know, no one would. So, of course, he's going to complain about it. You know, because he's been made an example of. He's been made an example of when it comes to racism and when it comes to just, well, biting people. I guess, you know, I don't know. I'm not going to defend him on that. But you know what I mean. You know, he's been made an example of, and naturally he's not going to like that, but, you know, that's his own fault. What's he gone biting people for? So, if he does go, fair play to him. I'm not going to blame him. He has been picked on, but but it is his fault at the end of the day, so swings and roundabouts. But if he does stay, we've got a world-class striker for another season, I'm happy enough. And if he does go, we're going to get at least, apparently, 40 million. I think I'd like, to be honest, to get more than we got for Fernando Torres. Whether that's realistic or not, I don't know. But we're going to get a good chunk, and Rodgers, well, I'm hoping, and we haven't, well, I say Rodgers, it's more, we haven't got Damien Comolli anymore to fucking come out and say, let's spend £35 million on an unproven lanky twat. You know, so, yeah, just my little 2 cents there. Moving on, Leverkusen, 3-1, Simon Mills scoring again. So that's man of the match there against Sandhausen, and man of the match again against Leverkusen. Krumpen also scoring. I've talked, if you are, obviously I realise it's been a while, so obviously I understand if you've forgotten half the team. I'll go over the team again in a little bit. Horst Krumpen, this guy is just, oh my god, he's amazing. I mean, I've talked about, you know, the great strikers we've had, you know, the great regen strikers. I know I go on about them, but it's just a laugh at the end of the day. You know, it's my save. I'm sure we all do it, don't we? You know, we've had the likes of Fredinho, Goetz, Wallace. Here's another one. He is really, honestly, that good. I think he is closing in on, well, believe it or not, actually, Robert Lewandowski's record. It's obviously 2040. Lewandowski set the record of the number of goals, which is surprisingly low, which is something like 180 or something. And yeah, he's a monster. He really is just an astonishingly good player. We then played Bayern in the European Super Cup, ironically, obviously winning the Europa League last season. they won the Champions League. So, I mean, what were the chances of that? I mean, it would have been brilliant if, if I was able to bring you this maybe like a week or so ago, but unfortunately that didn't happen. We actually went to a penalty shootout, and Rattini, Oliveira, Krumpen, and Mateus all scoring. Rocket didn't play them at centre back, which I'm never going to be doing again. We've also got Emin Karakoc playing there. We've also got Billy Wilson also starting. I mean, this was kind of silly, to be honest, to throw him in against Bayern, but it's also Cardiff. Okay, that's slightly weird. Cardiff City Stadium. Okay, it's a nice stadium, but it's not really fit for European Super Cup. Grief. Doesn't compare to the Stade Louis II Stadium, or whatever it's called. So, but yeah, we won. Penalties. I don't really care about the Super Cup, but the game obviously does. So, we then played against Freiburg, who are actually quite a decent little team. And Simon Mills scoring again. And they did get 2 penalties, though. And I think I may have mentioned this before. Is it just me, or has there been like an increase in the amount of penalties? I mean, honestly, I could be talking a load of rubbish there. I'll hold my hands up and I'm saying, look, I'm saying get stuck in, but I don't think that means take the legs away and the opportunity to get. But I don't know, it's just over the last month or month and a half, I've noticed a real increase in penalty giving. I mean, if that is down to my tactics, then I'll hold my hands up and say, fine, I was wrong. But I don't know. If you have as well, please say. We then have our Europa League games. This is in our group again. Obviously, we're not in the Champions League since obviously, now in the future, if this was 2040, obviously Dortmund would have got into the Champions League due to the fact that we won the Europa League. But this is Football Manager 2013. That didn't happen. These were the group. Now, this was an incredibly odd group because it really was, easy. Easy. It was just easy. I don't understand how on earth we got drawn with such 3 crap teams. There's Dynamo Kiev, and I love how the Dynamos play each other as well. That is about as a by-country derby if you've ever seen one, isn't it? But Horst Krumpen bagged himself a hat-trick against Dynamo Kiev. Miola also scoring. Holmgaard got 2. Owen McHugh, I think that may have been his debut goal against Levski. I think that is Levski Sofia. As you can see, they're all sort of Eastern teams. I could make all sorts of Cold War references there, but I won't. Holmgaard then got 2 again against Dynamo Moscow. 1-0 against them in Russia, with Frank Schober scoring. He's getting on a little bit now, but I don't know how long he's got left, but he's still a decent little player. He's also another Dortmund stalwart, actually. He's 31, I don't know. Yeah, when it starts saying he isn't getting any younger, that is a bit of, alarm bells should go, and, how long has he got left? But, he's been here for forever, 240 appearances. He obviously came in at the same time as Horst Krumpen, so obviously he never really had to look in. But he's still a good player, a bit of a stalwart. We then played Dynamo Kiev. At this point, we were already qualified, as you can see. Well, I think we may have already been qualified at that point. I think even if we got a draw against Moscow, we would have been safely qualified as the group winner. But 5-2 here, so we got Billy Wilson scoring, Ferraris scoring, Mateus, McHugh, and Schuster. Again, I'll show you George Schuster. So he's 19. We've got Zlovko at the age of 17. Really excited about these two. That is I know I haven't brought them in. They both came through the academy, so whatever. But that is a genuine Dortmund partnership. At the centre, at the back. So I'm really excited about that. Then obviously, we kept going actually with undefeated, I suppose, with this 2-2 draw. You may also have noticed, if I just go over a few things, so obviously we finished top of the group there. You may also noticed I have actually yet to lose in the league as Dortmund manager, or lose in 90 minutes. And as you can see, there's still no red dot. We'll come back to that when we do see that red dot later on, because obviously it eventually happens. We then beat Bayern 2-0. Tommaso Tomazzi grabbing 2 goals. Yeah, I couldn't believe it either. This was a big one. I think Bayern... Sorry, did I say Dortmund? Sorry, Bayern. I keep getting them mixed up. Don't know how, but... They're sort of... I wouldn't say they're in transition as such, but they're just... I think their next bunch of players are just about to spring up, They're getting there. They're not quite world class yet, but they are getting there. But I think this season they are there for the taking, and I think this was our opportunity to really pounce in this one. 3-1 then against Frankfurt. Simon Mills bagging another 2. Haidari grabbing his first goal. 4-0 in the Borussian derby. I don't know whether this is a big rivalry or whatever, but the game seems to think it is, the Borussian derby. It's Mills grabbing another double. This is a 23-year-old Welshman for £600,000. How many goals has he scored already? Unbelievable. Krumpen and Schober with the other two. 1-0 against Werder Bremen. In second place, Simon Mills again. What a player! What a player! 2-star potential. Or ability, even, sorry. Ability. 600,000. I can't get over this. One of the best signings, or at least in the short term, I've ever had. Stuttgart. He scored again! We're up to Stuttgart, the Mercedes-Benz Arena. Horst Krumpen grabbing another two, and Simon Mills scoring again. FC Köln. Then he didn't score this time, but he started a decent 7 rating with Rizard Gorecki and Frank Schober scoring. A few people have talked about Gorecki. He is the vice captain. A few people saying he reminds me of Piszczek, and he is. He is very similar to Piszczek in that he wears the number 2 shirt. He's a right back, and he's Polish. So yeah, Piszczek incarnate, I suppose. Then we had for a while, at least our winning streak was broken by Wolfsburg. With, unfortunately, I think Bastos was injured for this game, so Markowski came in and he scored an own goal and had a shocking game. Also, Malazzi and Ngema scored. Had a terrible, terrible game. Ferraris also came in. I think I underestimated Wolfsburg here a bit, but we still managed to press and maintain our undefeated run. Well, you knew it was destined when that happened. The fact those, well, yeah, I'll go on. 93rd minute. I won't show you the goals. And when you can imagine the Markowski goal, most of the time a goalkeeper, it's usually from a free kick, and it's like bounced off the bar and off the back of the goalkeeper. And again, there's like another penalty, and I couldn't believe it. I was going crazy at this point. I thought, well, there's our undefeated streak gone. Yep, and Kai Markowski, well, he had a chance to rectify himself. Oh, and he did just that. I was so made up when he saved it. And, well, I'm in a 5.7 rating, and he still managed to, save a penalty. I mean, I don't know how harsh you can be with that game, but whatever. But then, and I think I may have been saving them, because obviously we've got the derby next up against Schalke. And we've got a 1-1 draw at the Veltins Arena. It's not too bad. Horst Krumpen, Mr. Dortmund, as I've christened him. I'll probably get rid of that nickname, actually. It's not very good, is it? Bagging the goal, so yeah, that was fairly poignant for him. Then played Nuremberg on television, as you can see. I don't really like to point that out, but we're on TV quite a lot. Holmgard, Wilson scoring, and Miola also scoring. Schober, fortunately, missing a penalty. Never mind. We then played Stuttgart again, this time in the German Cup second round. Norbert Schütz scoring. He is, or Nobby Schütz as you could call him, I suppose. 2-star potential again, another centre midfielder. He's okay, good rotation option, good squad player. 1860 Munich. We then played with McHugh and Miola bagging a couple of goals. Zovko again, 8 rating against 1860 Munich. 18 years old. I said he was 17, he's 18 now. One for the future, looks absolutely superb. As you can see, it came through the Dortmund first team. Look at that. He went straight in. That wasn't. Bear in mind, I didn't come till. Well, yeah, I think that was. I think mostly that was me. Actually, I'm not going to lie. But he was already in the first team. Usually you can't play a young player until they reach the age of 17 anyway. Because I tried to play the likes of like Dalglish and all them in the league, but they aren't eligible. For whatever reason, I don't know why. I don't know whether it's just because they've already played for Dortmund too, or whatever. As far as I can see, I'm not allowed to play any youngsters. That might have just been a coincidence at the fact that they already did play for Dortmund too. We then played Hoffenheim next up, and won again with Tomazzi, Holmgard and Schober scoring, but then later going off injured. Then played Hanover, Horst Krumpen grabbing 2, and then came the biggest win yet with 7. Krumpen banging 2 off the bench, with Mateus, Wilson and Mills all scoring, and everyone really just having a great game. Again, playing Kai Markowski there, the 18-year-old. I really would not recommend playing 18-year-old goalkeepers, by the way. That is just me taking the piss. Don't do it unless he's got 5-star potential. Even then, I wouldn't recommend it. Unless obviously look at his ability, look at their ability, and then take it from there. Next, we played Hamburg and got a 1-1 draw. A little bit disappointing. Probably should have won this. As you can see, Krumpen missed an 80th minute penalty after bagging one earlier. So that was slightly disappointing, but never mind. We played Mainz and won 2-1. away, and Simon Mills again scoring, Krumpen again scoring as well. Then played Cologne again, this time in the third round of the German Cup. Krumpen getting a goal, getting 2 goals, and and an own goal there as well. So fairly good. And then that was the last game before the winter break, and obviously we at this point just played a load of friendlies. Look out for these things. I don't know why, but we keep making arrangements with Lottie. I don't know. I think we have like an affiliate thing or something, or like you have to arrange in a friendly or something because of a player. I don't know. But yeah, these don't mean anything to me personally. They're just, I think I simmed all these. I wouldn't recommend usually playing this many friendlies, especially if you are focusing on, if you as I do here, training. If the focus is on fitness, which I would absolutely recommend if you don't have a particularly big squad, or you are very pent up on keeping players fresh like I am. Players have got to be in the high 90s if they're going to play. If they're anything lower than say 95%, they don't play. Type of thing. Well, I'm not that anal, but they've got to be very fresh for me to play, and the best way to keep on top of that is through fitness focus. The intensity can be an average. I wouldn't recommend putting it to very low, but still make sure it's on fitness at all times virtually. And if you do that, you don't need to play all these friendlies. You can have. Some we had to play because, they were in our contracts too. They have to play every time there's a friendly opportunity to come around. As you can see, we then took like 2 weeks off then. So, yeah. And if you are wondering, I am in favour of a winter break. Maybe not this long, but I think perhaps Boxing Day to say maybe 2 weeks. Maybe Boxing Day to say the 10th of January, just to spring 2 dates. Something like that maybe. Have the Boxing Day fixtures, and then that's it. Or after, maybe we can have that sort of big Christmas rush, that big Christmas period, and then 2 weeks off, or 3 weeks off. I don't know, keeps the players fresh, and England might actually have a chance of winning the World Cup. Not that I give a shit, but maybe it would be nice for football to uncorrupt itself, perhaps. But that's never going to fucking happen. We then played Wolfsburg, got a bit of retribution for that draw earlier in the season, as Krumpenbach 2, Holmgard and Zovko scoring. Then we played Leverkusen and we lost. We lost in a gripping game. Now, I'll go over the record. That is our first loss almost a year to the day since I joined Dortmund and had my first game. That is 1 year. I realise obviously we didn't play, like June, July, or half of January, but a year of undefeated in 90 minutes football. Great game though. Yusufi, Krumpen and Mateus all scoring, but fortunately Bayer Leverkusen were too strong for us in the end. We then bounced back though with 5 against Freiburg, Kaczynski, Mills, Yusufi and Krumpen all scoring. I think that, we've got one more game here against Bayern Munich. A really good game, this Krumpen scoring again. Let's Holinjane, I think is how you say that. He's South African, so I apologise. I'm not going to even attempt a South African accent with that. But this was sickening. I'm actually kind of happy we lost that 4-3 game to Leverkusen, because if we'd dropped our undefeated streak, I'll tell you obviously the number in a minute. I can't quite remember it myself, but I'll show you these highlights because this was just utterly sickening. Horst Krumpen there, he's just really good. 5 minutes was the time there. This guy here on the ball, number 9, Janssen, is, I'd say, one of the best strikers in the world on this game now at the moment. Very, very good. This team, as I say, is in its, I wouldn't say it's in its infancy or anything, but they are building up, to being a big, dominant team. That's Holinjane there at the far post, knocking it in, 67th minute, 2-1. And then this happened. So, 89th minute, I thought, right, I think I was on control at this point. I probably should have pulled it back, as I think I underestimated or overestimated? I think I underestimated by here. But look at that, 89th minute. Was there offside? I don't think there was. And then a penalty in the 93rd minute. Oh, you don't know what I was doing at that point. You don't want to know. I was kicking things over, and I wasn't really. I was going mental, though. I was going crazy. And that is where we leave you. So, Yeah, the undefeated streak. That streak incidentally is a Dortmund and Bundesliga record. So if we look at the records here, most games without losing, 34. That's just in the league. If we just discount the cups and Europe and all that, 34. So that's actually a whole season, technically. Yeah, look at that. 300. What's this? 368 days. That's 8 games won in a row. That's before me, incidentally. That is, so technically that is an undefeated season. Technically, not saying it is, but technically. um, and yeah, and then the Dortmund record, which I'll go over now. That obviously that includes the cup and European games. Actually stretched to where are we? Most games without losing, 54. So we've beaten Arsenal now, if you will. They've passed the 49 barrier. I think the record is something ridiculous, like Stade Bucharest or someone own it. Like it's like 160 games unbeaten, which is Real Madrid. It's someone, it's somewhat stupid. But it's really good that I've managed to do that. I'm really happy with that. Longest undefeated streak I've ever had on Football Manager, or at least in recent memory. And yeah, so it proves to me that we're doing okay. We are doing okay. And now we should press on and win the league. If you are looking as well, most goals for the club at the moment is Robert Lewandowski. Obviously, I can't click on his name. Mario Götze, obviously. The irony is incredible, obviously. The record is valid from 17th of July 2012. I think even then that would pass the current record holder, which is, what's his name? I've forgotten. It begins with a Z. Zork or something. Sounds like a Power Rangers baddie. But there's Torsten Kraft. He's a bit of a he's not a Dortmund legend as such, but he's one of the most consistent players I've ever seen on this game. And yeah, so there's just some record looks if you want to see that. If you look at our goals incidentally as well, if you just look at the squad. So goal wise, Krumpen on 22, 14 for Simon Mills. What an absolute buy that was. I'm not telling you to blow me on trumpet with that, but what a buy. How would I know you might be thinking, did I use FM Genie or something with that, or whatever it's called? No, I don't know how. One, I don't know how to use FM Genie, and two, I didn't. Okay, I just want to point out, what is the point in cheating? I didn't. So yeah, I know that does look a little bit like a Genie signing, but that is just to point out, because I know someone is going to say it at some point. But assist-wise, we've got 13 for Yusufi and 11 for Haidari. Not too bad, considering Haidari is 21 and his first full season in the Bundesliga. So that is that. So if we just show you the last little thing here, the player stats. Yusufi is at top there with 12 assists. Krumpen joint top with Bayraktar. I don't know. Again, that sounds like another Power Rangers baddie name. Simon Mills is second in the average rating. Krumpen just behind him, and Yusufi and Tomazzi as well. There's Frattinelli, remember him? He had good potential. But Patrick Schmidt, I don't know what it is about that name. Keeps cropping up around about this time, doesn't it? In Football Manager. Remember Anton Schmidt? He was whatever he was called. He was a quality player in FM12. Yeah, I'm just clicking around now, really. So that's going to do it for me. So thank you for watching. We're back then with a season review very shortly. So remember to like the video. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.